Brandon Marcello is standing by, one of the top voices in college football, who is always kind with his time on a busy morning. Brandon, welcome into the show, man. How are you doing today? You may be on mute, Brandon. I just cleared it up. You're good.
I hate the people who are always muted on Zoom, and I'm that person.
Welcome in.
It is quite all right. Glad to have you here. Hugh Freeze is introduced at Auburn. The guy can coach football. He can also control a news conference and a microphone. The guy's pretty good behind a microphone, isn't he?
Yeah, he's fantastic behind a microphone, and everything he said today was came across, very well. But I think this is a situation where, if you're an Auburn fan, you hear all that, you're going, this is all fair and good, and this sounds good, but you are going to have to prove it to me. You over this next calendar year, show me that you've changed and show me that you're a different type of person in addition to a different type of coach. And so I think fans should at the very least, probably at least have an open mind to, okay, you say you're this, but you do have to show me. Talking's not enough anymore.
Brandon, I would be shocked if we have a Hugh Freeze a meltdown, so to speak, and he reverts and goes back to the things that people talked about in the past. I personally think he's a really good coach. I mean, if you're just giving this a hire on the surface away from the baggage, just ability to coach, ability to rebuild a program, what would be your grade?
I'd give it like an 8 out of 10 right now. I think Lane Kiffin would have been a 9. And I think Deion Sanders would have been a 10, personally, because I think he would have made a gigantic impact, like a giant asteroid hitting the planet, because he would have come in and just absolutely owned recruiting and changed everything there, and not just sparked the imaginations and the fan base there, and then also started raising a lot more money for the collective. But you would have seen an immediate turnaround, the transfer portal for them. They'd be grabbing everything that he could, just like USC and Ole Miss were doing last year. Having said that, that's not to, downplay this hire of Hugh Freeze. I think this is about as good as Auburn could hope for. And I just mentioned those 3 options. 2 of those 3 were guys they went after. They went after Lane Kiffin, and Lane Kiffin told them no. So this is a good hire at face value. But again, I do think he needs to prove himself in a lot of ways as a person, but also as a coach. Let's not forget, yes, he was very successful at Ole Miss, did things there that they hadn't done in quite a while, winning 10 games, beating Alabama in back-to-back years. But here's the other thing, guys. That was 7 years ago he beat Alabama. Things have changed in college football in 7 years. College football has changed dramatically in 2 years with the transfer portal, the way rosters are built, the way offenses are called. Rules have changed just as far as substitutions, and things that helped Hugh Freeze's offense. There's a lot of things that have changed since the last time we saw Hugh Freeze coaching big-time college football at Ole Miss. And he was very successful at Liberty, and I know that. But he did not face the week-to-week grind of an SEC schedule, and he has not done that in 6-7 years. So he's got to prove himself again and again. He's got to wake up every morning and prove himself to himself, but also to the fans there at Auburn. I think he knows that, and from talking to people around him for the last month while this has all been going on, they say they understand that, but now it's a matter of you got to show it.
Brandon Marcello is with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. At BMarcello on Twitter is where you find him. Go check out all of his videos, all of his writing at 24/7 Sports. Follow him on social media, TikTok, everywhere. I see Brandon on TikTok. Yes, I am on TikTok. As a 46-year-old man, that is kind of weird. Brandon, he said he is not going to, or at least he's going to consider not calling his own plays for the first time in his career, which is interesting because that play calling is what has gotten him to the point where he gets the job. Did you find it as interesting as I did that you've done this your whole career, it gets you 2 SEC head coaching jobs, and then you get the second one and say, yeah, I think I may give that up?
Maybe he's just trying to show himself to be open to anybody who has any feedback until he says, yeah, I'm calling the plays. This is my offense. Maybe he's taking a page out of the Gus Malzahn book, knowing that how the boosters can be there and trying to rip control out of your hands. Because certainly Hugh and Gus have been talking. No, I found that interesting that he even said that. That, there's a lot of people who probably call better plays than me. And yeah, he's being humble there, but or at least trying to show he's being humble there, but he's going to call plays. And I am interested to see, though, who he hires on his staff. I think everybody is. But unless you go and get a Garrett Riley at TCU or something like that, I don't think he's going to give up play calling. And in fact, his offense is so different from others that he's been around in the SEC and, for that matter, in college football. I don't see how he could give up play calling.
You touched on something there, which I think actually is an advantage for Hugh Freeze. He's had the opportunity to talk to his good friend Gus Malzahn, who spent what probably feels like a lifetime for him there at Auburn. And I would imagine if I'm Hugh Freeze, Brandon, I don't know about you, the first thing I asked Gus would be, who can I trust? Where are the landmines? That would be the first thing I would ask. What would you ask if you were Hugh Freeze to Gus Malzahn?
Well, that would be the first. Who do I watch out for? Who's a backstabber here? Who's two-faced? Who can I trust among these boosters? But also, knowing Hugh Freeze, I think he's going to be giving the benefit of the doubt to a lot of people at face value, and he's going to let them show what kind of person they are. I made this point yesterday that Auburn just hired, if they went into a laboratory and made a coach, they just got the coach that is a combination of Tommy Tuberville and Gus Malzahn. You've got the Tuberville kind of politicking and talking all the time to every member of the media, telling them what they want to hear and telling the boosters what they want to hear, opening up practice for some fans and boosters and showing all that, going out to the local restaurant once a week in the morning to have breakfast and welcome fans to come sit down with you and talk to you. And then you got the Gus Malzahn kind of like CEO business approach behind the scenes, obviously an offensive mastermind and one who really has this belief of instilling faith and really using that as the foundation of building a program. He's the combination of those two. I think that as long as again, I think we're here in this calendar year, it's going to be a matter of Auburn fans going, all right, prove yourself to us. Because the backlash, if people aren't necessarily having a backlash against this, they're at least like going, I still don't know about this guy. He's going to have to prove himself. And by doing that, he's going to, act the way he does. But people are going to start picking up on those little notes here and there of that. This guy seems like Tommy Tuberville. Oh, he seems like Gus. And it's going to bring up some, you hit that little nostalgia bone a little bit that tends to, get people to get in your corner.
Brandon, we all know that no Auburn coach has ever made it out alive, so to speak. I mean, they've all been fired. His contract, 6 years right now. If I put the over-under tenure for Hugh Freeze down on the Plains at 6.5 years, you go over or under? That'd get him to 60 years old, too.
I don't know. I hate saying that. Like, I just don't know. I'd say over. This is the thing. Whoever was going to be hired, you're in a weird spot because Nick Saban hasn't retired yet. We don't know when Nick Saban's going to retire. That's always, I hate bringing that up, but that's very much affects the type of job that an Auburn coach inherits. So does Hugh Freeze go in there, and within his first 4 years, does he beat Alabama once? Does he beat him twice? And then Nick Saban retires after 4 or 5 years and doesn't see the end of his contract? Then, yeah, Hugh Freeze is there more than 6 years. Does Hugh Freeze go 0-3 against Alabama to start his career? He's not going to make it to 6 years. And that's difficult because right now that roster is a mess. And the other thing is, like, I was being asked this yesterday, like, look at the schedule right now and tell me how many wins Auburn has. And it's like, that is a fool's errand. There's no point in doing that really for any team because that roster is going to look completely different. It's going to be like an expansion league roster. There's going to be starters there. They're obviously not there right now, but players who are not even in the portal right now that they're going to have on that team. So there is no telling what Auburn will be capable of this year, but he's got to beat Alabama, I think, in those first 3 years to feel good about seeing the end of that contract in 6 years. And here's the other thing. As we know, we look at this contract now and go, oh, it's 6 years right now and $6.5 million. That puts him like at 8th or 9th in the SEC. Yeah, that changes quickly if he wins 8 or 9 games next year. All of a sudden, he'll probably have like an $8 million or $9 million contract.
All right, he is Brandon Marcello. You can follow him on Twitter at @bmarcello, all over social media, Instagram, TikTok, all of that, and read his stuff at 247 Sports. We thank you for the time, Brandon. Know it's a busy day. Appreciate you making some time for us.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
All right, buddy. Take care. Brandon with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.